Here's Riri on Magic, one of her huge early hits.
Is that what the cool people call her?
That's, well, they...
Riri. I've
I
never
know
heard that.
I'm not cool. Yeah.
I am the opposite of cool.
Yeah. Look what I'm wearing, dude. Jeans and a T-shirt. It's what I've worn since I was 14.
I'm jealous.
Mike Barrett.
Khakis and a shirt, whatever.
Mike Barrett with us to sip coffee and talk insurance. It's called Good Policies.
Sorry.
With Barrett Insurance Agency. Mike, you are so busy in your life here. It is town meeting day. I'm going to give you an opportunity here to remind your voters, okay?
Yeah, so town meeting day, I mean, if you're in a town in Vermont, get out. I mean, so I know there was one town that did theirs, I think, on Saturday or Sunday. But for the most part, it's today, folks. So if you want to have a say in what happens in your community, your municipality, the place you call home, go participate. Look it up. I think the Cal Rec had a great thing where they had all the time schedules in there the other day. I think Waterford's, we're going to have a spaghetti dinner tonight. I'm cooking. How cool is that?
Well, I'm just thinking about...
I'm allowed to boil the water, I should say.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking about the spaghetti because you can't mess with spaghetti.
Well, I don't know. When I'm cooking, you can mess with spaghetti. But we have our town meeting tonight at the Waterford School in Waterford. We'd love to see all of our community members there. It's we've had a good year, and we hope to continue forward progress.
All right. Of course, many of you might know, and many of you might not know, Mike is on the select board.
Yeah.
In Waterford. So, all right. So I came up with a question this morning here, and you said it would be a great thing to start off our conversation.
Sure.
Okay, people getting married. Okay, I've never been there. I've never been married.
Yeah.
Okay, but when a couple has made the decision that they're going to spend the rest of their life together, there are certain insurance needs that need to be met. Let's have a conversation on that.
And one thing, Jeff, that I see more than I wish I didn't. I don't want to see it at all. Is I still see a lot of newly married couples that still have separate insurance. And I know there are married couples that keep separate bank accounts, and that's completely cool. But for auto insurance, you're missing golden opportunities here. And there's also something could become an exposure for you, because once you're married, by definition, you're insured under each other's policies. So you need to be disclosed drivers. So technically, if you both have a policy, you should each be disclosed on each other's policy, and you're losing opportunities for multi-car discounts and all kinds of things. So you really should be looking at putting each other on the same policy. If you're cohabitating before you get married, that's another opportunity for you to join forces and be on the same auto policy at that time.
Now, does that include what they call tenants in common?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you are significant others and you're living in the same household, sharing the same payments and everything, and maybe you own the house, maybe you're renting where you're at, have a renter's insurance policy with both your names, or a homeowner's policy. There's some companies out there, like if only one person in the relationship owns the home, the other person could potentially be listed through endorsement as an additional household member with some companies, which is a good way to protect their personal property, but certainly not a bad idea to be on the same auto policy. You're getting multi-vehicle discounts. The second you go from single to married, especially if you're between the ages of 21 and 25, you're saving some money because the second you get married, you instantly get cheaper. I'm just going to pick on that. Not that he's cheap, but things get less expensive, right? But we're talking about the benefit side of how you can save money, right? And that's fine. But let's talk about the claim side. So your husband and wife, and something happens, you're going to want to make sure you're equally protected as husband and wife, or whatever the case may be. There's financial exposure there for you now that you've made this commitment to another. So certainly by planning and having some insurance prepared for that specific thing, to make sure that you're listed properly, that you were insured properly, so that you're not caught off guard if something happens to the other. Say for example, you get married and one person owns the house, but the other person's name's not necessarily on the mortgage or on the deed. So they only have one person on the homeowner policy, and that person passes away. Well, if the spouse isn't listed as a named insured, they really don't have any ability to change the policy or correct anything. So it can muddy up and slow up the process. I'm not saying that you should do something you shouldn't, but there's really no harm, no foul if you're husband and wife by both being on the policy. So at least on the insurance side of things, you can still manage something if the unexpected happens.
Well, and the worst case scenario there, where all of a sudden you're not husband and wife anymore, it is a simple procedure You got it started with one, and then you can reverse it the other way.
Yeah, and even in the more morbid side of things, if maybe a friend, family, or parent passes away and they own property, never a bad thing to call the insurance carrier and say, look, we probably should assess this. This person who owns the home is now deceased. Many companies will put it in the name of the estate. And at least for the remaining of that policy period, they may tell you you've got to find replacement coverage elsewhere if the occupancy has changed for that property. But you want if something happens, you want the claim payout to go to the appropriate parties. And if the party listed is the person who's now deceased, that's going to really slow up the process.
All right. So we spoke about the cost aspect of it and the benefits of it. Are there any detriments to it?
Honestly, I mean, the only detriment possibly, let's go to the reverse that we talked about, all right? By adding your spouse to your policy, let's say the opposite needs to happen and now you need to remove them. The appropriate way to remove them, and I'm hoping all the insurance companies and agencies do this, I know we do, is that we just simply request a signed document releasing that person from the policy. We want proof. We don't want them to be surprised. We do the same thing for the auto insurance too, right? If there's a divorce that's occurring and it's not a good divorce, maybe it's getting a little ugly. We don't want the person who calls in to take the other person off without the other person knowing. So we would ask that they sign and confirm that this is a decision on their part, not only to make sure that the person is not taking advantage of taking them off, but also to make sure that person has replacement auto insurance coverage if that indeed is the case.
Okay, and
not that we don't believe people, but you just gotta,
Right. Well, and we don't have much time left here, but what about in a business atmosphere?
Oh, that's a different one, because most businesses are in the name of corporations, LLCs. So it's really about knowing who has the signing rights. So you got to have a little more of a dialogue there. But with a business, it's impossible to get all the owners' names and have them all signing off on things. So you just got to use common sense and be careful there, I suppose, is the answer.
Yeah, okay. Well, I figured we'd cover the bases on that because we hadn't really had a conversation about that before.
Right.
So.
Well, in the final, the big thing, the cherry on top of the conversation, you mentioned life insurance before we went on the air. I've got just one thought, beneficiaries. If you have a life insurance policy and you get married and your spouse is not the beneficiary and your intention is for them to be it, do it. Don't wait. Just do it. And reversal. If a divorce happens and you do not want that person to be the beneficiary, do it. Don't procrastinate because you'll forget about it. And then God forbid something happens. Yikes.
Well, it's as legal gets. So, I mean, if there is, let's say, a beneficiary involved and something happens, they're still on it.
They're getting the death benefit,
right.
And that may not be your intention.
Right. All right. So there's good policies for this hour. Town meeting day, 7th of March.
Yeah, if you want to give us a call, we're available at 748-5224. You can find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com, Google, Facebook, and YouTube. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency. And I'll be there today till 3, and then I got to go to Waterford to boil water. I kid you not. I think that's what they're going to have me do.
Hey, so. I've only known one person in my life that could burn pasta.
I hope to be your second.
I'm not going there. All right, we're going to go back to the music for the latest from Pink.